Most men do not destroy their lives in one dramatic failure. They destroy them quietly. One careless morning, one weak promise, one impulsive decision, one useless argument, one person trusted too quickly, one temptation obeyed too easily, one day wasted like time was unlimited. Then years pass, and suddenly they look around and see men with less talent moving ahead, not because those men were gifted, but because they were deliberate. That truth hurts. Good. Pain is useful when it wakes you up. Machiavelli understood something soft men avoid. The future belongs to the man who can see consequences before they arrive. While others rush, he studies. While others react, he observes. While others talk, he prepares. While others waste energy proving themselves, he quietly builds power. You are not here to become another man trapped by impulse. You are here to become dangerous in a quieter way. The man who thinks ahead. The man who moves carefully. The man who wastes nothing. By the end of this video, you will understand 7 Machiavellian lessons that will help you protect your potential, avoid careless mistakes, move with purpose, and build a future that cannot be controlled by mood, distraction, or weak people. This is not motivation. Motivation gives you excitement. This is identity replacement. Before we begin, drop this affirmation in the comments. I move with purpose. Number 1. Stop living one move at a time. A careless man thinks only about what he wants right now. A strategic man thinks about what today's choice will create tomorrow. That difference decides everything. Weak men live one move at a time. They speak because they feel pressure. They trust because someone sounds convincing. They spend because they feel bored. They react because their ego was touched. They chase because the reward is close. Then consequences arrive, and they act surprised. No, they were not surprised by life. They were defeated by short vision. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to the man who studies consequences beyond the first move. A foolish person asks, "What do I want?" A strategist asks, "Where does this lead?" That question will save you from years of stupidity. Before you speak in anger, ask what your words will expose. Before you trust someone, ask what their pattern reveals. Before you accept an opportunity, ask what it will cost later. Before you chase pleasure, ask what it will steal from your energy, focus, and dignity tomorrow. Most people never ask these questions because they are addicted to immediacy. Immediate relief, immediate pleasure, immediate validation, immediate revenge, immediate comfort. But immediate is not always intelligent. The brain is wired to value short-term reward. Dopamine pulls you toward what feels good now, even when the long-term cost is obvious. That is why discipline feels unnatural at first. You are fighting a nervous system trained to chase quick relief. A controlled man does not obey every urge. He interrogates it. He asks, "What will this become if I repeat it?" That question reveals the future. One skipped workout is small. Repeated, it becomes a weak body. One careless purchase is small. Repeated, it becomes financial pressure. One emotional reaction is small. Repeated, it becomes a reputation for instability. One broken promise to yourself is small. Repeated, it becomes self-distrust. You are not building your life from dramatic decisions. You are building it from repeated ones. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That power begins with pausing. Pause before the reaction. Pause before the yes. Pause before the message. Pause before the temptation. Pause before you give access. A pause gives your intelligence time to defeat your emotion. Here's what most people never notice. Many traps come disguised as urgent opportunities, a rushed decision, a flattering person, a fast reward, a sudden invitation, a conversation that demands your immediate answer. People who want control often rush you because your patience threatens their manipulation. They do not want you to think. They want you to move. A strategist refuses. He does not move because someone pressured him. He moves because the move serves the future. Napoleon understood the power of timing. On the battlefield, speed mattered, but reckless speed could destroy armies. He studied terrain, morale, supply lines, and opportunity. He did not win by moving blindly. He won by seeing what others missed before the moment arrived. Your life is not a battlefield in the same way, but the principle is the same. Think beyond the first move. The old identity wants relief. The new standard wants direction. The old identity asks, "How do I feel right now?" The new standard asks, "What will this choice create?" The old identity lives by impulse. The new standard lives by consequence. The man who cannot see beyond the first move will always become a prisoner of the last mistake. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I think beyond the moment. Number 2, move carefully, not fearfully. Moving carefully does not mean moving like a coward. It means refusing to let emotion choose your direction. Fear freezes a man. Impulse exposes him. Strategy controls the pace. You must learn the difference. Many men are reckless and call it confidence. They speak too quickly, trust too quickly, reveal too much, enter conflict too easily, accept opportunities without studying the hidden cost. Then when the damage arrives, they call it bad luck. But bad luck is often poor observation wearing a disguise. A careful man is not afraid of life. He studies life before entering. He watches patterns. He listens for what people avoid saying. He notices when actions contradict promises. He sees the small inconsistency before it becomes betrayal. He understands that the world reveals itself to the man patient enough to observe. Machiavelli did not admire blind action. He admired calculation. The fox sees traps. The lion frightens wolves. A powerful man must be both. If you are only a lion, you charge into traps. If you are only a fox, you hide from battles you should win. You need awareness and courage, judgment and action, restraint and force. Think deeply, then move decisively. That is precision. Psychologically, careful movement protects you from emotional hijacking. When you act under anger, fear, lust, loneliness, or ego, your brain narrows its focus. It chases relief instead of truth. You stop seeing the full board. That is how men make decisions they spend years repairing. A controlled man slows down when emotion gets loud, not because he is weak, because he knows loud emotion often hides poor judgment. Imagine this. Someone insults you publicly. The careless man reacts. His face changes. His voice rises. He attacks back. Now everyone sees the insult worked. The careful man does not rush. He lets the room feel the silence. He studies the person. He chooses one sentence or chooses no sentence at all. His response is not designed to release emotion. It is designed to protect position. That is a different level of man. Abraham Lincoln carried attacks, criticism, pressure, and betrayal during a national crisis. He did not answer every insult with emotional noise. He understood that leadership required restraint. Neither can you. Your future is too expensive to be driven by impulse. Here's what most people never notice. Careful movement makes you difficult to read. When you stop reacting instantly, people lose access to your pattern. They cannot easily predict your next move. They cannot bait you into emotional exposure. They cannot rush you into agreements that benefit them. They cannot use your need for approval against you. You become harder to corner because you no longer walk into the corner voluntarily. The old identity moves because pressure appears. The new standard moves because purpose is clear. The old identity fears missing out. The new standard fears wasting years on avoidable mistakes. The old identity confuses speed with strength. The new standard understands precision is power. Now comes the dangerous part. Some people will call you distant, too careful, too calculating, too hard to reach. Let them. Many people call your discipline cold because they benefited when you were careless. They liked you better when you said yes too fast. They liked you better when you explained too much. They liked you better when your boundaries were weak and your decisions were emotional. That version is dead. Move carefully. But when the time comes to act, do not hide behind analysis. Examine. Decide. Act. Accept the consequence. A strategist does not hesitate forever. He simply refuses to act blind. Careful movement is not fear, it is power refusing to stumble. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I move with precision. Number 3, protect your potential from small wastes. Your potential will not always be murdered by disaster. Most of the time, it will be drained by small wastes you keep excusing. 10 minutes here, 1 weak habit there, another night of cheap entertainment, another pointless argument, another morning wasted, another promise broken quietly. Another week where you said tomorrow like tomorrow was guaranteed. This is how a powerful future gets buried. Not through tragedy, through repetition. Every careless day is a vote for a weaker life. And most men have been voting against themselves for years. That is why the pain feels confusing. They know they are capable of more. They know they are not stupid. They know there is unused strength inside them. But their daily actions keep proving they are not serious. Potential without structure becomes frustration. Intelligence without action becomes arrogance. Ambition without consistency becomes fantasy. Read that again. A man can be talented and still become a warning because talent does not protect itself. You must protect it. Machiavelli understood that resources decide power. In your life, your key resources are not only money, they are attention, time, energy, reputation, health, focus, and self-trust. Waste them, and your future weakens. Guard them, and your life begins to compound. Psychologically, small habits shape identity because the brain learns from repeated behavior. Every repeated action becomes evidence. If you repeatedly waste mornings, you become the kind of man who cannot command his day. If you repeatedly finish hard tasks, you become the kind of man who trusts himself under pressure. Your mind is watching what you do, not what you claim. Imagine a man with real potential. He wants to build a business. He wants a stronger body. He wants respect. He wants freedom. But his mornings are chaotic. His phone owns his attention. His sleep is weak. His weekends disappear into comfort. His conversations revolve around complaints. His promises to himself are optional. 5 years pass. Nothing major happened. No disaster. No enemy. No collapse. But he is still in the same place. Why? Because he kept making peace with small wastes. Here's what most people never notice. The future does not need you to hate yourself to destroy it. It only needs you to stay comfortable with tiny betrayals. A little procrastination, a little indulgence, a little distraction, a little laziness, a little emotional chaos, a little broken standard, small enough to excuse, large enough to compound. Kobe Bryant did not become elite because he avoided one giant failure. He became elite because he refused thousands of small wastes, missed reps, lazy footwork, weak film study, casual preparation. He treated details like they mattered because details become destiny. You need the same violence toward waste, not toward people, toward waste. Cut it, track it, expose it, remove it. Stop acting like your time is unlimited. It is not. Every year changes the game. Responsibilities grow, energy shifts, opportunities close. The price of discipline increases the longer you postpone it. The old identity wastes the best hours and gives the future leftovers. The new standard gives the best hours to the mission. The old identity calls distraction recovery. The new standard knows recovery should restore power, not steal it. The old identity protects comfort. The new standard protects potential. Wasted potential is not an accident. It is the result of tolerated weakness repeated daily. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My potential will not be wasted. Number 4, master the art of delayed reward. The man who cannot delay pleasure will delay success. Understand that clearly. Every time you choose what feels good now over what makes you stronger later, you train your mind to betray your future. You teach yourself that comfort is more important than growth, that distraction is more urgent than discipline, that temporary satisfaction deserves more loyalty than your highest potential. That is how weak patterns become permanent identities. Machiavelli understood that power requires patience, not passive patience, strategic patience, the ability to endure short-term discomfort for long-term advantage. Most men cannot do this. They want respect without sacrifice, wealth without restraint, strength without pain, freedom without discipline, influence without mastery. Then they get angry when life refuses to reward unfinished men. A controlled man does not expect rewards before character. He builds the character first. Delayed reward is not just a productivity trick, it is psychological power. When you can resist immediate temptation, you become harder to control. Your cravings no longer decide your behavior. Food, approval, sex, entertainment, anger, attention, validation, comfort, all of them can become chains if you obey them without question. The world studies your cravings because cravings make you predictable. Once people know what you desperately want, they know what to offer, what to withhold, and how to move you. But when you can walk away from immediate pleasure, you become dangerous. You are no longer governed by the reward in front of you. You are governed by the future you chose. Here's what most people never notice. Discipline is freedom paid in advance. Every refusal buys something. Saying no to overspending buys options. Saying no to cheap pleasure buys energy. Saying no to distraction buys focus. Saying no to approval seeking buys self-respect. Saying no to emotional reaction buys control. You are not losing pleasure, you are purchasing power. Steve Jobs understood focus through refusal. He cut products, simplified direction, and forced attention toward what mattered. Whether people liked his style or not, the principle was clear. Great outcomes require the discipline to say no to many attractive distractions. You cannot say yes to every pleasure and expect a powerful future. You cannot feed every appetite and expect self-command. You cannot reward yourself before the work and wonder why the work never gets done. Reward after progress. Rest after effort. Celebrate after completion. Pleasure is not evil. Pleasure in command is the problem. A strong man enjoys life without becoming owned by enjoyment. A weak man calls indulgence freedom while slowly becoming a slave to appetite. Now comes the dangerous part. Your weaker self will negotiate intelligently. It will not sound stupid. It will sound reasonable. You deserve this. Just today. You can restart tomorrow. You have been working hard. One time will not matter, but one time matters because one time is how patterns negotiate their survival. Pause. Observe. Choose. The old identity wants relief. The new standard wants power. The old identity obeys appetite. The new standard commands appetite. The old identity asks, what do I want now? The new standard asks, what does my future require? A controlled man can sit with desire without becoming its servant. That is strength. Pleasure now can purchase regret later, but pain now can purchase power later. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose the greater reward. Number 5. Become impossible to distract. The world does not need to defeat you if it can keep you distracted. That is the hidden war. It does not need to destroy your ambition. It only needs to divide your attention into 100 meaningless pieces. A notification here, a comparison there, a useless debate, a new goal every week, a video that makes you feel productive but changes nothing, a person who brings chaos into your mind, an emotion you follow for half a day. Then you wonder why your life has no momentum, because you are scattered, and scattered power is weak power. Machiavelli understood that divided forces are easier to conquer. The same law applies to your mind. When attention is divided, strength is diluted. When attention is concentrated, ordinary effort becomes extraordinary force. A focused man is dangerous because he is not easy to redirect. He has chosen his direction. He does not wake up asking what he feels like doing. He wakes up knowing what must be done. That certainty makes him difficult to influence. Most people think they lack talent. Often, they lack concentration. They have never stayed with one thing long enough to become dangerous at it. They start. They get bored. They switch. They compare. They restart. They call it searching for purpose. No, it is often fear of the boring middle. Anyone can focus when the goal is new. Anyone can work when progress is visible. Real discipline begins when the work becomes quiet, repetitive, and invisible. That is where most men quit. They mistake boredom for failure. They think they need a new plan when they really need deeper commitment. Neuroscience supports this. Deep focus requires the brain to resist novelty. Constant switching trains the mind to crave stimulation. The more you train interruption, the harder sustained attention becomes. So stop pretending your phone addiction is harmless. Stop pretending gossip is harmless. Stop pretending constant input is learning. A man can consume content about success all day and still perform no action that creates it. Stimulation is not progress. Execution is progress. Here's what most people never notice. Some opportunities are disguised detours. Not every open door deserves your step. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every trend deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your emotion. Not every person deserves your availability. A strategist ignores many things so he can dominate the few that matter. That is why focus feels ruthless, because it requires letting people down. It requires becoming unavailable. Unavailable for gossip. Unavailable for pointless conflict. Unavailable for people who only remember you when they need attention. Unavailable for the version of yourself that always chooses the easier road. Imagine a man building a skill. For 6 months, he does one thing. Same schedule, same practice, same feedback, same boring repetitions. People call him obsessed. They say he is missing out. They say he should relax. But 1 year later, he has become valuable. The people who mocked the repetition now admire the result. That is how it works. Greatness looks boring while it is being built. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." Apply that to distraction. The problem is not only that the world is noisy. The problem is that you keep judging the noise as worthy of your attention. Change the judgment. Protect the mind. The old identity touches many things and masters nothing. The new standard ignores many things and dominates the few that matter. The old identity seeks stimulation. The new standard seeks execution. The old identity changes direction when bored. The new standard stays until boredom becomes mastery. A distracted man is easy to control because his future has no single direction to defend. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My focus cannot be bought. Number 6, study people before you trust them. Your future will not only be shaped by your discipline, it will also be shaped by the people you allow close enough to influence you. This is where many strong men become stupid. They train their body, sharpen their mind, work on their career, build ambition, then hand access to someone they never properly studied. They confuse attention with loyalty, chemistry with character, familiarity with trust, words with proof. Then betrayal arrives, and they act shocked. No, they were careless with access. Machiavelli understood human nature through patterns, incentives, and pressure. People reveal themselves when there is something to gain, something to lose, or a boundary they do not like. Anyone can speak beautifully. Anyone can appear loyal when loyalty costs nothing. Anyone can support you when your growth does not threaten them. But watch what happens when your interests conflict with theirs. Watch when you say no. Watch when you stop being useful. Watch when you grow beyond the role they preferred you in. Watch when protecting you requires sacrifice. There is the truth. A strategic man does not trust quickly. He does not become paranoid. Paranoia is weakness too. He simply observes before giving access. He lets time test what charm tries to hide. Psychologically, humans are vulnerable to halo effect. When we like one quality in a person, such as attractiveness, confidence, humor, or warmth, we assume other qualities are present too. That is how people mistake charisma for integrity. Do not be fooled by charm. Study patterns. How do they talk about people who are absent? One day, you will be absent too. How do they treat people beneath them? Power reveals character. How do they respond to boundaries? Respectful people adjust. Manipulative people become offended because your limits interrupt their control. How do they react to your improvement? Some people love you only while you remain small enough to make them comfortable. The moment you become disciplined, ambitious, calm, or independent, their support turns into criticism. They will call you distant when you stop being available for chaos. They will call you arrogant when you stop asking for permission. They will call you selfish when you protect the time they used to waste. Do not argue. Their reaction is information. Here's what most people never notice. You can forgive someone without giving them the same access. Forgiveness is not the restoration of privileges. Trust must be earned by consistent action. And when broken, it cannot be repaired by apologies alone. Study behavior after the apology. Study whether responsibility replaces excuses. Study whether the pattern changes when attention disappears. Abraham Lincoln built political teams with people who disagreed with him, but he understood character, usefulness, and purpose. He was not naive about people. He could work with tension because he studied the larger mission. Neither should you. Your mind is territory. Your time is territory. Your plans, fears, ambitions, weaknesses, and strategies are valuable information. Stop handing them to people who have not proven they can protect what you reveal. Now comes the dangerous part. Loneliness has made intelligent men invite dangerous people into peaceful lives. They would rather tolerate disrespect than sit alone with themselves. But solitude is cheaper than betrayal. Silence is cheaper than chaos. Temporary loneliness is cheaper than years spent recovering from someone you knew you should never have trusted. The old identity trusts words. The new standard studies patterns. The old identity gives access because it feels connected. The new standard gives access because behavior has earned it. The old identity ignores red flags because it fears being alone. The new standard chooses solitude over contamination. Access to your life is not a gift for charming people. It is a privilege earned by consistent behavior. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Access to me is earned. Number 7. Turn foresight into daily discipline. Thinking ahead means nothing if your daily behavior keeps betraying the future you claim to want. Many men love the idea of strategy. They talk about becoming powerful, disciplined, wealthy, respected, free. But their days are ruled by mood, convenience, and distraction. They want a calculated life while making careless decisions every morning. That contradiction must die. Machiavelli understood preparation. The man who appears lucky later was often preparing, while others were still hesitating. Fortune favors the prepared because preparation turns opportunity into result. Your future will not be built when you feel inspired. It will be built when you follow the plan after inspiration disappears. This is where foresight becomes discipline. You must reverse engineer the man you claim you want to become. What time does he wake up? What does he refuse to consume? What skills does he sharpen? How does he treat his body? How does he handle money? How does he protect reputation? How does he speak under pressure? What temptations has he already decided to walk away from? Stop imagining only the rewards of that man's life. Study the standards required to become him. Every powerful identity has a price. If you want uncommon results, accept uncommon restraint. You cannot keep the habits of an average man and expect the future of an exceptional one. That is delusion. Plan your days before the world plans them for you. Decide your priorities before notifications, demands, and emotions compete for your attention. Give your strongest hours to your most important work. Do not leave your future to whatever energy remains after everyone else has taken from you. A strategic man does not negotiate with himself every morning. He makes decisions once, then builds systems that reduce debate. He prepares the environment. He removes temptation. He tracks progress. He notices where time disappears. He understands that what is measured becomes harder to deny. Here's what most people never notice. Your results are not insulting you. They are reporting you. If your body is weak, your habits are reporting. If your money is chaotic, your habits are reporting. If your work is inconsistent, your habits are reporting. If your mind is distracted, your habits are reporting. Do not defend yourself with potential. Potential has become the hiding place of men who refuse to produce evidence. The world does not reward what you could become. It responds to what you repeatedly demonstrate. Imagine this. Two men want the same future. One waits for motivation, the other builds a routine. One talks about discipline, the other removes distractions. One says, he will start soon. The other starts today with one focused hour. One changes everything dramatically for 3 days. The other changes a few high-leverage habits and repeats them for 1 year. The first man feels intense. The second man becomes dangerous. That is daily discipline. Small discipline applied consistently becomes massive advantage. One focused hour per day becomes hundreds of hours of skill. One controlled expense repeated weekly becomes financial space. One avoided distraction becomes room for a better action. One promise kept every morning becomes self-respect. A controlled man prepares before pressure arrives. He saves before crisis, trains before weakness is exposed, learns before opportunity appears, builds relationships before he needs favors, strengthens reputation before anyone questions it, develops calm before life becomes chaotic. The battlefield is the worst place to discover your weapon is dull. Do not wait for crisis to reveal what you should have practiced in peace. The old identity leaves the future to mood. The new standard builds systems. The old identity wants transformation in one dramatic night. The new standard repeats the highest leverage actions until they become automatic. The old identity says one day does not matter. The new standard knows a life is nothing more than repeated days. Pause, observe, choose, then repeat. That is how you become difficult to corner. Not by wishing, not by talking, not by imagining, by reducing the weaknesses the world can use against you. Foresight becomes power only when your daily habits start protecting the future you saw coming. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My habits protect my future. Most men do not fail because they lack potential. They fail because they waste it without noticing. They live one move at a time. They rush when they should observe. They protect comfort more than discipline. They trust people before studying them. They chase pleasure before earning strength. They let distraction buy their attention for cheap. Then they wake up years later and call the damage unfair. No, it was accumulated. Today, you learned 7 Machiavellian lessons. Stop living one move at a time. Move carefully, not fearfully. Protect your potential from small wastes. Master delayed reward. Become impossible to distract. Study people before you trust them. Turn foresight into daily discipline. This is not motivation. Motivation gives you a temporary feeling. This is identity replacement. The old identity reacts. The new standard thinks ahead. The old identity rushes. The new standard moves with precision. The old identity wastes small moments. The new standard protects potential. The old identity obeys pleasure. The new standard chooses the greater reward. The old identity trusts words. The new standard studies patterns. The old identity talks about the future. The new standard builds it every day. Now the decision is yours. You can keep living like time is endless. Or you can become a man who treats every day like it is shaping his fate. You can keep confusing motion with progress. Or you can move with purpose. You can keep letting weak habits bury your potential quietly. Or you can stop voting against yourself. Like this video if you are done wasting your future. Subscribe for more videos on Machiavelli mindset, stoicism, discipline, silence, power, self-control, and identity transformation. Share this with someone who keeps living by impulse and calling the consequences bad luck. And drop this final affirmation in the comments. I waste nothing. Remember this. A careless man waits for the future to happen to him. A strategic man builds the future before anyone else sees it coming.